everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. I'm sorry this is so late, but today I am going to rank all new February releases that I saw last month. So I will just give a little disclaimer before I go that a couple of these, if you're watching from like the US, they will not be February releases for you. In the UK, we tend to get some of the more like Oscar movies in like January, February. So we've got a couple of movies on this list that to you may be a lot older, but I'm basing my list on when I got to see it when it was in UK cinemas, when its UK release was. So yeah, hopefully February will be the last month I have to do that, because I think I'm pretty much all caught up now. And I will say I will try and get through these quite quickly so we're not here all day, as I managed to see 10 new releases in February. I received a lot of screeners, which is where a lot of these have come from. But yeah, I went to the movies a lot more than usual as well. So I had a really solid month, and let's just get straight into it. In 10th place, we do unfortunately have to have something, and today that is Argylle. I will say I didn't actually hate this movie. I think I even enjoyed it a little bit more than a lot of you guys did. But you know, it's the new kind of Matthew Vaughn action, crime, comedy, spy thriller type thing, and it's a lot of fun. It's full of colour, it has a really stacked cast including Bryce Dallas Howard, Sam Rockwell, Henry Cavill, just to name a few, and I did have fun with it. I think a lot of the action sequences were well choreographed, and like they were more on the entertaining kind of light-hearted funny side. A lot of the humour worked in here for me. I loved the lead performance from Bryce Dallas Howard. I thought she was fantastic. And Sam Rockwell, he's always a hoot. He's always a hoot when he's around, so I enjoyed it for that as well. There's a lot of twists and turns within the plot. I think maybe a little too many, but I enjoyed seeing it all play out, and I kind of switched my brain off, so there was a few things that I figured out like way before, like as the movie started, which was a little bit of a shame, but then other things I wasn't expecting, so it was a little bit of a balance of both. Overall, it was a fun time at the cinema, but yeah, it just wasn't perfect for me. Like the CGI was a bit crap at times. The movie was way too long for the story being told, and yeah, I think it just didn't quite hit the mark. It didn't really have much of its own flair. It kind of took from a lot of other movies but didn't really have much going for it as its own thing. So that's a bit of a shame, but I did have fun. In 9th place, we have a movie called Ordinary Angels, which stars Hilary Swank in the lead role. This is one of those based on a true story dramas centering on a hairdresser who reads a story in the paper about a dad who is struggling for money as his wife has recently died and his daughter is ill, so he's like racked up thousands of pounds of medical bills, and the daughter needs life-saving treatment, and she kind of does what she can to raise money to help them. It's really one of those kind of saccharine, sugar sweet, based on a true story dramas. The story being told is emotional, and it is really inspiring, and it has like a focus on the community coming together, and it showcases what can happen when humanity just push all their shit to one side and just focuses on helping each other. I really liked it for that, and I think it had quite a lot to say there. The central performances are really good as well. Hilary Swank is as good as ever, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the guy playing like in the dad role is the guy from Reacher? Something Richardson, Alan Richardson, is that right? I don't know, anyway. But yeah, I liked the performances. It was just one of those kind of by the book, some very formulaic and sugar sweet, yet kind of endearing, kind of inspirational true story dramas. And yeah, it just had a really nice uplifting message, so I appreciated it for that. In 8th place, we have a horror movie called Out of Darkness. This is classed as a 22 release on Letterboxd, but I think it got its wide release in February and went through a couple of like title changes and things like that, so I'm counting it here. This is when I received a screener for it and was asked to review it for. It was a little bit of a mixed bag. I did have fun with the horror elements. It does a lot of like, when I moaned last month about Baghead showing you like the villain straight away and then it losing its fear, Out of Darkness does the opposite of that. So it kind of has a fear factor that runs all the way through it, because it doesn't feel the need to show you its villain, and it's kind of the fear of the unknown rather than showing you something to be scared of. You do get to see it at some point, but you know, I kind of don't like it when a movie shows you the villain in the first 5 minutes or in the trailer. This is also super interesting because it's like a caveman sort of horror, and It's basically just following a tribe of people who are being stalked slash haunted by something. So that was a really unique setting. The most unique thing about this movie is that it has its own language invented for it, which I think is super, super fun. And yeah, it was just a nice little bit gimmicky maybe, but it was a nice little touch. The main issue with the movie that I had is just that it was a little bit lackluster, a little bit boring. It doesn't really do much in the way of scares, but I loved all the visuals. I liked how unique the plot was, and the performances were really good as well. I think I liked this one a little bit more than a lot of people, but if you're into your horror and you want something a little bit more unique and you like something a bit more historical, then definitely give it a go. I think you'll find it fun. In 7th place, we have Land of Bad, which is kind of like a war thriller drama type thing, starring Russell Crowe and the other Hemsworth. And I thought this was super, super fun. It's basically a film of two halves. So you've got Russell Crowe as like a drone radio guy, I don't know. But he's like kind of making sure that his ground team are safe. So you're following him in his little office on a walkie-talkie, and then you're following the ground team on their mission, which obviously goes completely wrong, and it's kind of up to Russell Crowe to keep them safe and get them back to safety. It's not the best war drama ever made by any means. It doesn't come close. But I really, really enjoyed it. When you're following the ground team, it's all super tense. There's a lot of action, there's a lot of violence, and it does all that stuff really well. You generally care about the ground team. You want them to come out of it alive, and the stuff that they go through is quite harrowing at times too. On the other side of that, the Russell Crowe stuff is really fun as well. He gives a really good performance, and there's a lot of character development with him. You really get to know him, which I really appreciated. There's a few like bits of dialogue in here that aren't perfect. There's loads of like vegan jokes that don't fit the narrative, and they're like really like early 2000s vegan I don't know, why is there vegan jokes in a war film? But yeah, there's some interesting dialogue choices, and it's quite like formulaic and by the books. It doesn't really massively stand out in the oversaturated war drama genre, but it's got good performances. Wait, has it got two Hemsworths in it? I think it was Liam Hemsworth and Luke Hemsworth. Not Chris, he wasn't in it, but I think there was two Hemsworths in it. Yeah, there was. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, the performances were good. It had a lot of action, a lot of violence, but yeah, the dialogue wasn't all there at times. But I think it's worth watching. I had a lot of fun with it. In 6th place, we have a sweet sort of meet-cute rom-com called Upgraded that dropped on Amazon Prime. This stars Camila Mendes and Archie Reno, both of whom I really enjoy. I think they've got a lot going for them, and they've got a lot of charisma, and they did have chemistry in this movie. It kind of follows them meeting on a plane, and the lead character that Camila Mendes is playing kind of tells a lot of lies, and as she gets closer to him and starts to form a relationship with him, her lies kind of catch up to her. I really liked that this was set in London. I absolutely love London, and it did kind of like overdo the whole "it always rains in the UK" thing, but you know, I can't argue with that. I think they kind of did an okay job with the location. What I really liked about this is the focus on the lead character's career. It had an amazing side performance from Marissa Tomei in it, playing her boss. So I cared more about kind of the career progression and the drama aside from the romance, which is a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because it was fun and it was something that was interesting to follow, but it's also a curse because I don't really care about the romance in a rom-com. But yeah, they had enough chemistry to kind of keep me invested, but I was much more engaged when we were just following the female character doing her thing rather than the two of them together. I do think it's worth watching. I think it's a really fun movie. It's, you know, not one of like the best rom-coms of the ages or anything, but you know, it was one that I shoved on and thought, oh yeah, this will pass a couple of hours, and I actually did kind of have fun. It's got some humour in it, the side performances are really good, and yeah, not really much to say on that one. In 5th place, we have a movie that dropped on Disney Plus / Hulu, depending on where you're from. I am talking about Suncoast. This is also based on a true story, and I did a little bit of investigating, and the director actually based her lead character of the movie on herself. It's something that she personally went through, so it was very, very touching. Suncoast follows a teenage girl who is in her like pivotal coming of age years, who unfortunately has a brother who has very severe illness, and he's basically he's in like a I don't know what it's called, like a place where you go where you haven't got very long left, and yeah, she kind of grapples with being there and caring for him, but also knowing there's nothing really she can do, and she wants to be out with her friends and she wants to have a life. She's got a very difficult relationship with her mother, who kind of forgets she exists sometimes because her sole focus is on her very, very poorly son. And it explores all of those things really, really well. It explores terminal illness, coming of age, you know, friendship groups, heartbreaks, first love, all of that stuff. It incorporates that nicely. Whereas at the same time it's like a terminal illness drama, so it works really well in that respect. Something that doesn't work necessarily well is the big focus of this movie is on, but if you read the premise even, it says it's about a young girl who meets an activist, someone who kind of like doesn't agree with stuff that's going on in the movie. She meets like an older man, an activist, and they kind of form a bond. First issue with this, despite Woody Harrelson giving a really good performance in this side role, there's not enough of that in there, so it kind of feels a little bit out of place, because I'm much more invested in the coming of age elements and the mother-daughter relationship elements. So when she is like bonding with Woody Harrelson and he's like teaching her how to drive and being there for her when she really needs someone, which is a nice touch, there's just not enough of it, and it just doesn't fit, so that was a bit strange. But yeah, if that was either in it more or taken out completely, it would have just been a more cohesive thing in general. So yeah, that was a bit of a shame, but I really did enjoy this movie. If you haven't checked it out, I do think you should. It's kind of gone under the radar a little bit. But if you like your coming of age drama and you like a bit of a tearjerker, this is definitely one for you. Also based on a true story, so it's nice to see a story that someone has created drawing from their own experience. What she went through is just absolutely heartbreaking, but she did a really good job with this movie regardless, so definitely check it out. Okay, so in fourth place, this is where we're getting into like the really good stuff. I've had a really good month. In fourth place we have Marmalade, which is a film that stars Joe Keery from Stranger Things and Camilla Morrone. Recently was in Daisy Jones and the Six. I love her. And this is just a fun, bouncy, really colourful, really energetic crime drama romance. It has like a Bonnie and Clyde element to it, as our two lead characters who I just said, they form a relationship and they start to plot to rob a bank. You've also got Aldous Hodge in here, who is in prison with our lead character, Joe Keery. It's not a spoiler at all. He starts by going to prison and then he's kind of recounting what got him there. So yeah, it's got like that kind of element as well. So it's a lot of like flashbacks, throwbacks, and I really enjoyed how the story was told. It's full to the brim of so much like colour and style. It has so much like flavour and funk in it, and I love how vibrant it is. And as soon as I hit play, I was so invested. Another thing that really surprised me was how many plot twists this had. I've seen a lot of people kind of say they figured out where it was going, but I feel like it kind of depends on how you view the movie. When I watch stuff like this, I don't actively try to figure out what's going on. I just kind of let it happen, let it play out. And I was taken aback by some of it. There was a lot of twists in the end, maybe a few too many, but you know, I had fun with it and they did really surprise me. This one has gone totally under the radar, and if it is out in your country, I highly recommend you watch it. Joe Keery is at his best here, and it's just a really fun flick that at the time you think, oh yeah, that was good, but then it's stuck with me for such a long time, and I actually really want to revisit it and show my partner because I really enjoyed it. So if you like your kind of crime thrillers but with like a comedy focus, definitely check this out. This one will be perfect for you. In third place, we have my favourite horror of the year so far, starring Lily Sullivan, who was our final girl in Evil Dead Rise. She gave an amazing performance there, and she does exactly the same here. I am talking about Monolith. I don't want to say too much of this movie because I genuinely think it is better for you if you just go in as blind as possible. But it's about a kind of journalist. I think she's a journalist. Anyway, she's had a bit of a shit time with her career recently, and her main goal of this movie is to like find a good story. So she turns to podcasting, gets really invested, and ends up going down a rabbit hole on a conspiracy. Yes, conspiracy theorists, you're gonna love this one. And she kind of starts investigating it and forming a podcast on it, and yeah, she just gets stuck in, and the more deeper she delves, the more things get weird and the more comes to light. This is basically like one of those single location kind of thriller, drama, horror type jobbies, because it's just her kind of investigating. But her performance is exceptional, and don't let that put you off. The location is used really, really well. It also has some like voice performances from some other people that she kind of interviews for the podcast. So it's got a few different layers to it. Also, I don't really want to go into this because, like I said, anything I say could potentially be a spoiler. It's just a really, really competent, dialogue-driven, one character, one location kind of thriller. And the horror does kick in. Like, it takes a little while to get in, but once it's there, it's really, really good. I think the ending for you will be like Marmite. You'll either love it or you'll hate it. At the time, I was a little bit disappointed, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought, yeah, do you know what? Actually, this might work a little bit better than I thought at the time. It's definitely a thinker. I might even need to rewatch it to see if there's anything within the dialogue that I missed last time. But if you love your conspiracy theories and you're a horror fan, and what I loved about this so much is that it blends sci-fi with horror really, really well. So if you're a fan of movies that do that, definitely check out Monolith. It's such a competent little horror. I loved it. In second place, we have American Fiction, and this is what I mean. This only came out in February in the UK, so I've waited this long to see it. But it was totally worth the wait. I know you all know what American Fiction is, so I won't go too far into the plot. All I'll say is that it stars like an Oscar contending performance from Jeffrey Wright, who plays a man who's really he's a writer, and he's really annoyed with like how black people are portrayed in books and stuff like that. So he makes like a parody of that, but it ends up being a bestseller and it ends up doing really, really well. So he's like grappling with that. Obviously he's getting a lot of fame and a lot of money and a lot of credit, but he's grappling with that. And what people don't know about this movie until they watch it is that it's a really, really good in-depth character study. He's got a mum that's going through a lot. I think she's got dementia or something. He's got a brother that's kind of a bit a bit unreliable and into like drugs and things like that. So it's a character study, and it's also a story about race, and what I loved about this so much is that I've never seen race explored in this way. And I love any film with social commentary, really. That's right up my street, but it can become repetitive. But the commentary in here is so unique. It's a really, really good it's something I've never really thought about before, and it really got me thinking, and I always love when a film with social commentary can do that. It also balances all of what I've just said, which is obviously a lot of kind of like heartbreaking and heavy topics. This film is so funny. It has so much comedy in it, and it's delivered so well. I absolutely loved the comedy. It really made me laugh. Sterling K. Brown, obviously it's all about Jeffrey Wright. It's his movie, he leads it well. But Sterling K. Brown is such a freaking standout here. Every time he was on screen in his role as the brother, I was just mesmerised by him. I really, really enjoy him. I don't think he'll come away with anything this awards season, but if it was a different year, I genuinely think he would. But if you haven't seen American Fiction already, definitely check it out. It balances its social commentary with its comedy really, really well, and it also has so much character depth and so much development. I really, really enjoyed it for that. It's well made, it's well written, it's got good performances, it's got a really tight, witty, fun script. It's an Oscar movie through and through, but in a good way. I absolutely love it, and you should definitely check it out. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm so excited to talk about my movie in the number one spot, and I won't go into this one too much purely because everybody else has seen it. I'm the last person on earth to see it, but we finally got a release of The Iron Claw in the UK, and you were all completely right. I don't know why this isn't nominated for any Oscars. Damn you, A24, for your bad campaigning. This film deserves a Best Picture nom, it deserves a Best Actor nom, it deserves a Best Supporting Actor nom, even stuff like the cinematography in that I really, really enjoyed. The Iron Claw tells a true story, based on a true story, of a wrestling family in the States, and they're kind of renowned for having a family curse because things just keep going dramatically, awfully, horribly wrong for them. There's a lot of death in the family, and there's a lot of accidents that happen in really quick succession as well. So it's a very heartbreaking movie. I wept at the end, but it's also a really nice kind of family-oriented movie. It explores the family dynamic in both a positive and a negative way. It kind of explores pushy parenting, where the father is concerned all he cares about is his sons being really good at sport and kind of pushing them into that. It's got a lot to say, and it says it in a really digestible and accessible way. The performances here, you've got Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson. The performances are just fantastic. This is easily Zac Efron's career best performance. I think he really needs to pick more projects like this to show what he can do, because he is really good when he's given the material for it. I absolutely loved him here. It's a tearjerker, it is emotional, but it's also quite exciting at times. It focuses more on the drama than the actual sport, than the wrestling, but when the wrestling scenes are on screen, are, you know, playing out, they're fun. Yeah, it's a family drama at its core, but it has a lot to say about like fatherhood and, you know, just how we put too much pressure on our kids, basically. That was my main takeaway for it, but there's a lot in there. It has a lot more than that to say, so I'll let you go and watch it and, you know, let me know what you think of it, what your main takeaway from the movie was. But yeah, I'm just gutted that it didn't get the love that it deserves this awards season, but over here, I would have campaigned hard for this. I think it's fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Thank you for joining me. I'm super happy with the amount I got to this month, and I'm so glad I got to see The Iron Claw and American Fiction finally. Do let me know down below what your favourite February movie was, or rank the ones that you saw. I'd love to know. Also, sorry it's super late, but you know me, this is what I'm like. I will hopefully see you soon. I've got some exciting bits coming for you during the month of March, so definitely subscribe if you haven't already. Pop a like on the video as well, because it really does help me. I will see you guys soon. Bye.